Welcome to Eastern Newsbeat. This is Tricia Ziemer reporting. We're at the top of a hill outside of Melbourne, and behind me you can see Port Phillip Bay and Arthur's Seat. In Melbourne, we are very lucky to be surrounded by beautiful hills that slope down to a stunning coastline. Most Melburnians flock to the beaches both summer and winter, like seagulls to hot chips. Today we are meeting two different community groups that love boating. But why? If you speak to any avid surfer, they talk about how energized they feel even after a full day of surfing and how addictive it is. I personally love to go for long strolls on the beach with my feet in the water. I want to be near the healing waves. Surfers call this the stoke. Apparently, in the curl of every wave, there are positive ions that vibrate and re-energize us at a deep cellular level. It puts us in a state of happiness and bliss, and that is where the famous Australian saying, "I'm stoked," comes from. And the medical world is finding surfing and sailing has this wonderful effect on the disabled as well. Today we are visiting two groups who love the ocean, the waves, and the stoke. First, we join the Wooden Boat Centre at Docklands, and then the Disabled Sailing Group. Join me for Eastern Newsbeat. Shoshone McDonald, David DeRoche, and myself team up to discover that inside these seemingly empty sheds lies a vibrant boat centre full of passionate boat builders who call Docklands their second home.
Working at Docklands is great. It's a fantastic location. It is immediate. Obviously, it's close to the water. This particular venue brings a lot of like-minded people together, which is very important. I think without that little sort of culture of the boat shed, it might just not occur. You know, there's a real resource base that really relies on each other, and it's important that it's at the Docklands because the central location allows it far more accessible for people. I work in the city, and so I can be here in 5-10 minutes. It's really important. The Docklands is a really important part of the whole fabric of what we do here. Yeah, look, I think the way that the boat and the maritime connection interacts with the Docklands or the modern Docklands is really important. My own view is that we really should save this part of the port, or what was the port, and pay heed to it. I worked at the Port of Melbourne Authority as a youngster, and I've got recollections of what the port area was like when Victoria Dock and Appleton Dock and those sorts of areas were, working port berths. It would be just so easy to lose all of that in the flurry of this, shiny development. So I think it's really important that we hold on to this part of the port area. And of course, a big part of that is boats. We've got the Almadeau Pal, the Enterprise. It's really important that we have that so that the newcomers to the area just don't see it as a new housing or commercial development. It's a port, and I think there's been other port developments that have lost that connection with the origins of the port area. So this is one way of keeping that alive and keeping the mix of uses there too.
Docklands is a phenomenon. It's misplaced and misguided, and it's a way of washing Asian investment money. There is, in reality, less than 50% occupancy of apartments in Docklands, and of the ones that are available for rent or as serviced apartments, it's a very low occupancy rate there. It's mainly a way of Singaporean, mainland Chinese, who have money that they want to put somewhere. They put it in Australia because they don't have to rent those apartments. They know it's stable, they know the price will go up, they know there's capital appreciation, and all the time we keep getting Asian money, there will be capital appreciation. So it's a good investment. So Australia is a first-class investment for people with cash, and people with cash like to buy real estate. So that's my take on Docklands. Now, have we seen people from Docklands coming down here? We have 3 or 4 clients who live in Docklands who come down here and work on projects. And it's possible that as time goes by, as more Australians move into Docklands, there might be more. Or as young families move in and the kids get a bit older, there might be more. But mainly our catchment rate is from all over Melbourne.
I'm in insurance. The beauty of the group is that none of us really come from specialist trades backgrounds. We've got a retired anaesthetist, we've got a retired county court judge, we've got some IT guys, I'm in insurance, so it's a real diverse background of people. And the beauty of that is that you come to the same task from different perspectives, but what you end up with is this great leveller. Everybody wanted to help each other, and there's no shortage of people coming to offer advice or just to hear a problem that you've got. And that's a really important part of what we do here. Look, I think there's an opportunity for that resurgence. I mean, we've got, I think in some of the big employers here, we've got literally thousands of people who work in an office situation. And if I'm down here at the daytime, I see them walking past the shed. And many people will walk past and not know what's in here, but sometimes people stop and look, and it draws them in. And it's back to what we were talking about before. Here's this vision of something I can potentially create myself. And everybody you talk to, the passers-by, are really allured by what goes on in here. So I think that it's very easy for people to lose that notion of what's outside their office-bound world. And it would be easy for them to walk past and just not know what's in here. I think we need to, nurture that, because there's a real interest out there, no doubt about it. And I think also it's good for those people to have that in their lives too. So personally, I find it remarkably enriching. This is a 1947 Chris Craft sedan. It was built in Michigan, and I've got the original paperwork for it. It's a build sheet, so to speak. So I know exactly what the specification was when it came from the factory. So yeah, it's a 1947 Chris Craft sedan. It has a roof. Obviously the boat's upside down at the moment. The roof, the cabin roof is off the boat, and the objective now is to get the hull frames replaced, true, or as we say, fair, get that fair before the keel goes in, and then the chines, and then the bottom planking goes on top of that. Yes, yeah, they're the old bottom frames that I used as templates to fabricate the new frames from. Interestingly, they're not a very accurate source. I mean, they're a template, but these boats were manufactured immediately after the war, and I think the objective was to get them out as quickly as we possibly could. So they're a guide, but they're not exact. There's a little bit of sort of rough around the edges sort of inaccuracy there, but they're good enough. And once I get a template, I can then make them correct from using that template. Yeah, which is part of the fun of restoration rather than building a new boat. I've been about 18 months on it so far. Most of the people that are working on projects here, I think, dread the day they finish, because then you've got what do you do next sort of thing, And the interesting thing about the project is that during the course of the project, it's just that it's a project. It's project management. It's phasing the particular parts of the job and buying pieces, and when it's finished, it's a boat. So I think, look, to answer your question, I think there's probably about 12 more months in it really if I get going. So yeah, but it's good fun. I've always liked boats. I had fiberglass ski boats and so on as a youngster, and the whole appeal of wooden boats is that it's something they're more tactile. The wood is quite different to the fiberglass, obviously, and wood's something you can have a go at yourself. So, and I think a lot of people that take on projects, you visualise the dream of doing it yourself. Like a lot of projects, this one is a lot bigger than I thought. And we often say at the boat shed, by the time you finish, you'll know what you're doing. And this is certainly like that. So, what got me into it is the fact that it's just a great opportunity to learn by doing. And it's that's the real challenge. I've got two boys, and they're youngsters, 3 and 5. They simply want to know when the boat's going to be finished, but they do love coming down here and jumping in and out of the boat, and learning about the boat and how old it is and the different parts of the boat. And let's face it, we live on a big city that is on a big bay, and I think the bay also, and I certainly think the Docklands part, is, from a boating perspective, quite underutilised. So it's very accessible, and so I'm looking forward to being in the boat with my boys and my wife, of course, and and talking about the boat and perhaps building their own one day. Yeah, absolutely.